For countless centuries, wood from the forests shared with mankind his struggle to scratch a living from the earth. Wood served man to produce clothing and shelter. Wood helped man to harness the elements and gave him the power to lighten his work. Wood carried man across the sea. Wood, the willing servant of mankind. Man took these blessings of the forest, gave nothing in return. Then the forest was no more. Woe unto him that doth abuse the blessings of the earth, for its bounty shall be taken away, even unto the 100th generation. Far across the sea, there was a new land, Canada. Out of such virgin forests was carved Canada of the 20th century. More than 350,000 Canadians are employed in the industries that depend on Canada's forests. Every year they produce a wealth of $1.25 billion. The forest industries are important at home and produce the country's leading export, newsprint. Canada, the leading producer of paper in the world. And still the use for wood increases. Every day science produces new products, from rayon thread to yeast, linoleum to animal fodder. Even this film you are looking at is made from wood, a product of the forest. But a forest is much more than a source for raw materials, even more than a peaceful release from crowded cities. In the spring, when warm weather comes, the cool shade of trees allows snow to melt gradually. The water seeps slowly into the ground. In driving rains, trees break the fall of water onto the forest floor. A tangle of roots, broken branches, twigs, and decaying matter soak up the water. From this spongy mass, the water slowly trickles out. The forest floor is a huge reservoir, storing water, regulating its flow. The forest, a constant source of supply for brooks and streams. A home for fish to spawn their young. down from the tree-covered hills to generate hydroelectric power for distant homes and industry. From all over North America come thousands to enjoy Canada's forests, tree-lined lakes and rivers. While in the valleys below, farmlands are made fertile and productive by water from forested slopes. The whole community depends on water. Everyone has a stake in its source, and the source which supplies and regulates water in our rivers is the forest. Trees are living plants, a hardy and resilient crop. Each tree produces its own seed. The seeds are scattered around the tree by the wind. At first, it lives on its own store of food. The warmth and moisture of spring awakens the life within the seed. Soon it begins to get nourishment from air and soil. After the seed takes root, it begins to shoot up rapidly. A life has begun that may continue for hundreds of years. Each year, the tree adds a new ring of growth. The growth can be measured with a micrometer, and there is enough growth to make 2 readings each day. Forests are most productive when trees are young and growth is rapid. Growing steadily, a tree's usefulness to man reaches a climax at maturity. Past maturity, growth slows down. Gradually it begins to sicken and die, easy prey to infection that may spread to younger trees. To keep the forest young and healthy, the chief tool is cutting. Age makes way for youth, and the forest reseeds itself with young, fast-growing trees. When the cutting is no greater than the amount of growth, the forest remains healthy and permanent. But the ways of cutting have become much faster. In some logging operations, the forest is completely cut down, young trees destroyed, and half the timber left behind as waste. The waste dries out in the sun and creates a great fire hazard. As a precaution, it is sometimes burned deliberately when the ground is wet and the flames can be controlled. Fire is one of the forest's greatest enemies. Every year, thousands of acres of trees, young and mature, are destroyed. Burned over and cut over, the forest is turned into a wasteland. When hard rains fall and spring snows melt, water floods down the hillsides unchecked. The forest reservoir has been destroyed. Down it plunges, carrying the hillside with it. A year's supply of water, flooding from the hillsides in a few days. And when the floods are over, the rivers are filled not with water, but with the soil that once grew trees. A great, productive forest, gone. Reclaiming wastelands is slow and expensive. 7 trees planted for every one that survives selection and thinning. A forest for the year 2050. Deeply concerned by increasing destruction of forest resources, thoughtful foresters and loggers are studying the problem. For in wise management lies the future of the forest industries and of Canada. Their first consideration, to use the forest without destroying it, to find a way to grow trees as a crop. Where trees of different ages are mixed, one solution is to remove the mature trees selectively. By using flexible equipment, young trees are left undisturbed to complete their growth. Where trees are mostly the same age, some small but useful species may first be taken out by pre-logging. The remaining trees are then removed by clear-cutting alternate strips or patches. These patches are surrounded by trees which are left standing. Allowed to remain several years, the standing trees scatter their seed to produce a new crop in the open spaces. A permanent forest crop is the aim of modern cutting methods. A forest can only add so much growth each year. When too much cutting is done, the forest cannot keep up and becomes depleted. At the same time, because there are no roads to reach them, trees may rot and go to waste. To prevent depletion and waste, cutting is spread over a large area. Trees are cut as they mature, while young trees continue to grow. When the cutting cycle is complete, a new crop is ready to cut. A network of roads is built to haul the timber out. Long-range forest operations require an increasing number of highly trained foresters, and new forestry schools are giving practical instruction in latest methods of laying out cutting programs. The extensive road network makes the forest accessible not only to logging, but also to forest rangers for patrol and protection. Reporting fires promptly before they can spread saves millions of acres of timberland every year. Only fast, efficient protection services can make long-range plans for the development and use of the forest effective. And forest services rush suppression crews by the shortest route, by truck, by boat, or by plane. Most hazardous are fires which spread and feed on dried-out waste left from logging. Salvage operations do much to remove this hazard and make more efficient use of all timber cut. Once considered waste, the material is now being used to make paper. The waste of old infected trees is attracting an increasing amount of research. And through research, Canadians are beginning to find answers to some of the problems of their forests. They are learning that proper care of Canada's forests requires a great deal of study, effort, and money. The forests of Canada are the heritage of its people, but there is still much to be learned before their future is assured. Science and research are beginning to find the way. Only the interest and support of every Canadian will make possible the forests of the future.